Tears blurred her vision as she carried the box of her belongings out the back door, her 5-year-old son clinging silently to her side. The hallway she once proudly walked down every morning now echoed with rejection. "All because I had no babysitter today," she whispered to herself. But what Sarah didn't know was that the very act that got her fired would one day become the reason she was offered something far greater. Because behind a glass office door, a man stood still, watching her leave, and remembering a moment from his own childhood that changed everything. Main story. Sarah had always been a fighter. A single mother, juggling 2 jobs, night classes, and the beautiful chaos of raising her son, Eli. Life was tough, but quitting was never an option for her. Her job at Henson Consulting wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. It gave Eli a warm bed, school lunches, and maybe, just maybe, a chance at something better. But on that morning, her carefully stacked life began to crumble. The babysitter called in sick. Again. With no one else to turn to, Sarah made a decision that had worked before. She brought Eli to work with her. He was quiet, respectful, and knew the routine. Sit in the break room with coloring books, iPad, snacks, he'd be fine. But that day, during an unexpected fire drill, the CEO walked by and saw Eli. The next afternoon, she was let go. Not professional, they told her. Not a daycare, they said. No warnings. No discussion. She tried to reason with them. I didn't have a choice, he just sat quietly in the back. He didn't disturb anyone. But their decision was final. That night, Sarah cried herself to sleep, curled around her son on their worn-out couch. Her rent was due in a week. Her fridge was half empty. Her savings were long gone. Challenge and struggle. Unemployment hit hard. For weeks, she applied to every opening she could find. She wore the same 2 blouses to every interview, pretending not to notice the judgment in people's eyes when they learned she was a single mom. Some didn't even try to hide their bias. How will you manage work and a child? Do you have reliable childcare now? Can you work weekends, nights, overtime? Behind their smiles were doubts. And Sarah left each interview more deflated than the last. Eli, though only 5, noticed the change. "Mommy, are you sad 'cause you got in trouble?" "No, baby. I'm just tired." She'd smile, hold his hand, and keep trying. Turning point, a new beginning. Then one day, she got a call from a company she barely remembered applying to, Mason & Company. Innovations. They were a growing firm known for their community programs and flexible employment policies. "Hi Sarah," the voice said warmly. "We'd like to bring you in for an interview." She almost didn't go, her car was making strange sounds, and Eli had a mild fever. But something told her not to give up. So she showed up. Same blouse. Same nerves. But this time, a different energy. The interviewer was kind. Understanding. She didn't dodge questions about being a single mom. She answered honestly. "I'll never let my responsibilities as a mother interfere with my work, but sometimes, I might need a little grace." They nodded. Listened. Thanked her for being honest. A week later, she got the job. It wasn't high-paying, but it came with something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. The twist, the new boss walks in. On her 3rd week at Mason & Company, there was a buzz in the office. The company had just appointed a new vice president. A rising star from another firm, known for shaking things up. Sarah didn't pay much attention. She was too busy learning new systems and quietly doing her best. But then, during a team meeting, the new VP walked in. He was young. Sharp. But something in his eyes looked familiar, kind, but distant, like he was always thinking 2 steps ahead. He introduced himself. "Hi, I'm Daniel." When he reached Sarah, he paused. "Sarah, right?" he asked, his voice softer now. She smiled nervously. "Yes, sir. I'm still new, but I'm learning fast." He stared for a moment, then said something that made her chest tighten. "You used to work at Henson Consulting, didn't you?" She froze. "Yes, for almost 2 years. Well, it didn't end well." Daniel nodded slowly. "I know. I remember." Sarah frowned. "I don't think we met there." "No. You wouldn't recognize me now. But I recognized you. That day, in the hallway, you were holding your son's hand, carrying a box." Her stomach dropped. He looked around at the stunned team, then back at her, his voice clear. "I was that kid once." Silence. "My mom lost jobs too," he continued. "She brought me to offices, sat me in break rooms with snacks and crayons, because she had no other choice. And I watched her get fired for it. Over and over." He turned to the team. "That day I saw Sarah leaving, she didn't see me, but I saw my mom. That's why I pushed to bring her here." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want to just give her a job," he added. "I wanted her to have what my mother never did, respect. A chance to rise. Resolution and ending." From that day forward, everything changed. Sarah was promoted within months. She was given a mentor, leadership training, and flexible hours. Not because of pity, but because Daniel saw her worth, the same way he had once wished someone saw his mother's. And Eli? He had a front row seat to his mother's comeback. One morning, as she dropped him off at school, he hugged her tight. "You're the best worker, Mommy." She laughed, tears threatening again. "Thanks, baby." Final message, voiceover style closing. Sometimes, the world punishes those who are simply trying to survive. Sometimes, you get fired not because you failed, but because the world failed to understand your fight. But just sometimes, life brings you full circle. And if you're lucky, the child you once carried through hard times, grows up to hold the door open for someone else. She was fired for bringing her son to work, until her new boss walked in and said, "I was that kid." And with those 7 words, she got everything she had once been denied. Never underestimate the quiet strength of a mother, or the child silently watching her become a hero.